Who are you?
Whoever you want me to be.
Don't say I never gave you anything.
It's feeling epic.
3 words. 8 letters.
I remember everything.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Previously on Teen TV. I'm Jillian Banani, and today we are joined by a very special co-host. We let her out from behind the desk. It's producer Jessie.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for letting me out of my cage that you keep me in.
I know.
To come in front of the camera.
We let you out. She's hair and makeup ready. How are you feeling?
I'm so excited. I just really love the show that we're going to talk about today, and I just really wanted to be a part of this episode, and so Claire graciously let me take over the seat for this episode, and I'm super excited to get my opinions out there because usually I'm holding them in back there unless they're really dying to get out, but today there's no rules. I'm out.
Well, I'm excited to hear more of your opinions because you do love these shows and watch a lot of them as well.
I do.
Listeners, you're in for a very special treat today. We are talking all about the show Never Have I Ever, the Netflix hit from Mindy Kaling.
Yes.
I love this show.
I loved it. It came out during the pandemic. We all kind of got into it when we were binging everything that was on streaming all at once. And it really, for me personally, it caught me during that time. And then every season that's come out since, I've just binged it right away. And
I know.
Yeah.
Same. Like, it's one of those where it comes out and I'm like, I'm going to savor it. I'm going to watch one app. And then I end up watching like all 8 episodes in one day.
Yeah. And I will say, right before I rewatched it this week, I've watched it all in the past.
She
but
did her homework.
I did my homework. I rewatched it all this week, and it's so funny because the show that I watched most recently before this was My Life with the Walter Boys. And
Love.
I gotta say, comparing that to this,
I know.
this is just such a smart, well-written show.
Yeah.
Nothing against My Life with the Walter Boys. It's something else. It's trying to do something different.
Totally.
But it was quite a juxtaposition between the two. I was like, oh, wow, this show is just so smart and so funny. I'm crying. I'm laughing.
I know.
It's giving me everything that I want.
I think it is like one of the best teen shows ever made. Like,
Wow.
I will
That's
go
a
on record
statement.
saying that. Like, I think it is so well written.
Yeah, it really is.
It's so well done. It feels very like realistic.
Yep.
And I just, from start to finish, I just think the whole thing was just like really well done and really smart. And, I love, my Walter Boys and shows like that. Like, I love those like teen soapy dramas and all that. But like, to me, this is just like in a league of its own.
It's a different category.
Shows. Like, I think it would be like similar to like My So-Called Life or like Freaks and Geeks, like those shows that like, are like now considered like more prestige teen shows.
Yeah.
I know. Where were the nominations for this
Seriously,
show?
I feel like people
nominated this.
didn't take it seriously, but like rewatching it, I'm like, this is just such a good show.
I know.
There's so much in it that I feel like could have been really cheesy, like topics that other shows try to do, but it's just so natural and like well done, but like still funny and like relatable, and I just love it.
I mean, for me, like Mindy Kaling can do no wrong.
Of course, we love Sex Lives with College Girls.
Yes, like I feel like that's what first drew me to this show is like Mindy Kaling was a part of it. I'm a big fan of hers. I've read all her books, and I just feel like she like gets me as a person. Like,
you and Mindy are like BFFs.
I feel like we would be. Like
Mindy, if you're out there.
I know. I hope you're listening. I hope you're a longtime listener. I just found like her to be so relatable.
Yeah.
So I was very excited about this show because in one of her books, she does talk about her high school experience a little bit. And one thing that really stuck with me, and this like stuck with me like over the years, is she said, no, it's like not a bad
scared.
thing. But she was saying that like in her high school, like she was never the lead of a school play. She was never like the star of anything. She was just kind of more like average.
Normal.
Like, yeah. And I mean, look at her now. Like, you would not suspect her to just kind of be like average in this high school, like, you know, in the back of the school play, not even like in a main role, like barely even a speaking role, I think. And I just feel like that like always stuck with me of just like, you know, that doesn't like mean anything, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and like you decide like,
Right.
you know, what you want to do and like, you know.
I mean, I think when you're in high school, you think that it's so
know.
important, like that you have a boyfriend, that you get into the college that you want. And they do like address a lot of these topics on the show, but like in reality, like none of it matters that much. And I think that's something that like Devi has to come to terms with, like over the course of the 4 seasons, is like, you don't have to have a boyfriend to be like an important person or like be valued.
Mindy, one thing she also wrote in the book was that these shows put too much emphasis on like having a boyfriend in high school and that like we shouldn't focus on that too much. You know, that's all I was focusing on.
I mean, we all were.
As similar to Devi. Like, okay, so let's talk about Devi a little bit. Our main character in this show. I love her. Like, I am ride or die Devi. Like, I'm obsessed with her. I feel like we've never seen a character like this in one of these shows. Like, she is so flawed, which I love. Like, we never get to see that.
Yeah, I do think she is one of the messiest main characters we might have ever had on a teen show. And, you know, it's a little controversial, like, opinions of, like, Devi as a character. Some people hate her as a character because she's so flawed, but I'm on the same team you are on Team Devi. I think seeing somebody that is so flawed and unhinged and toxic.
She's completely unhinged.
I'm like, you're so relatable.
I know. I'm like, yes.
What does it say about me? But I loved watching her. I do think like as toxic and messy as she is, like,
she means well.
It also means so much more when you see her make the right decision. Yeah. Because I think you watch this show and she basically makes the wrong decision in every single scenario. Like, you know what the right decision is. She knows what the right decision is. She ultimately makes the wrong decision. And like, we do see full circle though when she starts making the right decisions, like there's growth there. And I think it like you have more of a payoff with that because she's so flawed. Like, she's a bad friend a lot of the times. And she chooses boys over her friends all the time. And so when you finally start to see her become a more well-rounded person, like in the later seasons, you're like, whoa, go Devi.
We're like, growth. We love that character development.
Yeah.
I feel like, though, it was, you know, I feel like these shows, they're, like, so worried about having a messy main character in them. Like, oh, my God. Like, all these shows where, like, the main character is a girl. A lot of times it's, like, they're just kind of, like, boring because they don't want them to be messy. And I just appreciated that, like, they let her be flawed. And honestly, I found it relatable.
Right.
Like, I was like, we're all flawed in high school. Like, I was messy. I was, like, making mistakes.
Right.
Like, you're supposed to grow. Like, you're not supposed to be acting like you're, like, 40 years old already.
I mean, we all were like that. Like, I think, like we were talking about in high school, one of the most important things to all of us is, like, having a boyfriend. And, like, I was definitely in that situation where I was like, this is my goal in life is to have a boyfriend. Look at me now in my 30s and single. But, like, so I think
you have had a boyfriend, though. I just want to be clear, everybody.
For...
She has had a boyfriend in life.
Thank you. So I think seeing her, like, make a lot of these decisions, which she's making them because she thinks in her mind that that's the most important thing. Yeah. So it makes sense. Like, she's not just messy to be messy. Right. She's doing it because in her mind, like, she needs to have sex and she needs to have a boyfriend. And so ditching her friends to go to Paxton's house and do a photo shoot for his sister. Yeah. Like, to her, that makes sense because it's getting her closer to what she thinks is, like, the priority for her at this time in her life.
I think, too, it's like, it feels so relatable, too, because I think she thinks that, like, getting the boyfriend will fix all her problems.
Right. Yes.
And, like, I totally thought that, too. I was like, if I get a boyfriend, I'm going to be so happy. Like, everything will just
be better.
Click into place. Like, I'm going to be so cool.
If only we had a therapist like Devi does to tell us, like, no, that's not going to fix all your problems. Like,
I love that they show her going to therapy.
I do, too. I think it's really important.
Well, I think we should touch on, too, like, the show opens where she she has just gotten out of a wheelchair because she was paralyzed after her dad died at her band concert.
Recital.
Yeah. So her dad has a heart attack, dies there.
In front of her.
Yeah. In front of her, in front of like this audience at this band concert.
Yeah.
And then for really like reasons we don't know, she's suddenly like paralyzed. Like she is wheelchair bound.
Right. Do you know how long she was in the wheelchair? I feel like it was kind of unclear.
I know. I was thinking it was like a school year.
Right,
like
around
it
a
seemed
year.
to be a bit of time.
Right.
Like maybe at least like 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And everyone was like referring to her as wheelchair girl.
Right. That's how they knew her.
Yeah. I think too, like what was so interesting though about that was like, normally I feel like, let's say you got into like an accident or something in high school and you were wheelchair bound. People would be like, oh my God, like you
Like,
probably
feel
become
sorry.
very popular.
Yes.
Yeah. But
I wanted to break my leg so bad. I never broke a bone, and I was like, I need this attention.
I know. If you broke a bone or were like hospitalized in high school,
You were cool.
Like, you were so cool. Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of like everybody wants to sign the cast, and then, but if I actually did break my leg, I'm pretty sure I would have had like 4 people sign it, and then it would have looked really empty. So it's a good thing.
Well, again, it depends on how
Just
it
a bunch
happened.
of fake names on the cast.
I would
Yeah.
start filling it in.
If it
Wait,
was,
is this show a comedy?
yes. This
I'm
is
sorry,
a
just the
comedy.
wheelchair thing.
It's very dark.
Producer Tyler here, by the
Yeah.
way, substituting for Jesse. But I just, as I heard the beginning of this, I thought this was like a light Mindy Kaling teen comedy.
No.
And it is not that at all.
Well, it's pretty funny though, the wheelchair thing, because I thought
Yeah.
so. It's also like the first like 10 minutes of the show.
Okay.
It's more like
Yeah.
she is determined to like put that behind her and like, you know, start fresh this school year and like become popular, get a boyfriend, have sex.
I do feel like
The main 3 things.
I do think the wheelchair thing, I don't know how necessary it was, like, because like you said, it's already over.
Yeah.
When we start season 1.
Yeah.
It's just like what people recognize. I guess it sets up what people think about her currently. But like the funniest thing is that what got her out of the wheelchair.
Paxton Yoshida.
Paxton
I mean, just
Yoshida.
seeing him, she wanted to get a better look. Like
'Cause-
that would make me walk again too.
I want to see those abs.
Yeah, he wasn't even shirtless, and it still got her out of that wheelchair.
It is a comedy though.
Yeah, it's a comedy. It
it's-
sounds dark what we're saying, but
But they do deal with like, I mean, I cried a lot
Oh.
watching this show.
Yeah, this
like
is-
the way that they deal with the grief between her and her mother
Yeah.
over her father's death is like really moving,
Yeah.
honestly. But like,
and it's a big theme of the show
it
throughout
is,
all the
yeah.
seasons.
So she's
Yeah.
like recurringly seeing her father like
Yeah.
in places throughout her life, like, and he's speaking to her and they're having conversations. And
Can I say something controversial?
yes,
I think the dad is so hot.
of course he's hot.
The dad is so
Wait,
hot.
why is that controversial?
I don't know.
Because he's dead?
I just think he's like the hottest guy on the show.
Whoa, hotter than Paxton.
I mean, no, but like, I don't know. Sometimes Paxton speaks and I'm like, And the dad was so like philosophical.
He
and
was
sweet.
he was
Yeah.
funny. He was sweet.
Wait,
Yeah.
so is this dad
Oh my God, producer Tyler is getting so mouthy
It's okay.
back there.
is this dad a ghost or is he like a
It's like-
hallucination? Does he
Hallucination.
interact?
Hallucination.
Does he interact with her?
Yes.
He
But it's
speaks
in
back.
her mind. It's only in her mind.
Okay.
It's the way. It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's sweet, like the way they do it. He's
It's
like,
very-
But he's not like a ghost. This isn't
No.
a supernatural.
No, no, no.
No supernatural.
I was like, what is this show?
You know, as
everything.
we're saying it, I am like,
sound crazy.
huh. Yeah, to be clear again, this is a comedy.
Yes.
But I do think like those dramatic moments, like there's so many heartfelt moments in this show.
I mean, the scene where they're spreading Mohan's ashes
Oh my
in
God.
Malibu, I bawled like a
Sobbed.
baby.
Yeah.
Like I was literally like full on sobbing.
I know.
But in like such a, it's so sweet. Like it's not of being sad. It's like this is just such a nice like moment between her and her mom,
Yeah.
and their relationship growth through the series
my-
is like really moving.
It's one of my favorite parts of the series.
Same.
Like watching them both like deal with their grief and like deal now with it just being like the two of them together in this family. Like I feel like that is so tough. Like I mean obviously like your dad dying is tough, but like in high school too, it's
Yeah.
like you know, the mother-daughter relationship in high school is tough.
And I think I don't know much about Indian culture, but what I learned from the show is like that made it even more difficult because of what's expected of Indian women. And like, I thought that was really interesting of them to show like a lot of the culture. But I loved like that the household was like a bunch of women, like
I know
Kamala and even Nirmala like joining later on. Like
it
was just so fun.
We get grandma, we get cousins. We're watching multiple generations of women all in the house together,
all
and
fun,
all very different.
Yes, very different.
And some of them, like I do love that throughout the series, like it's kind of a theme too of like that Devi like is very different from her mom. Like she grew up in America. She doesn't feel necessarily like fully Indian.
Right.
Like, she like it's just a very different experience than like what her mom experienced, who grew up in India and like came to
here
the
from
United
Mohan.
States. Yeah. And didn't really want to come here.
Right.
So I thought it was so interesting to like see the two of them figure out kind of their new dynamic together without the like barrier of Mohan being there.
Yeah.
Because it seems like he was kind of playing middleman with them a lot. You take him out and then you just have them like, you know, trying to get along and just like not seeing each other fully.
Right. The dad was very much like the good cop and the mom was the bad cop in the family dynamic before he died. So with him dying, it felt, especially in season 1, like it was like Devi being like, oh, now I only have bad cop to deal with now. Which it really climaxed in her saying like, I wish you had died to the mom, and which was so terrible. But like, they all come full circle and she apologizes. But it's really interesting to watch like all of them deal with this super difficult circumstance.
It just felt like super realistic too. I mean, because Devi feels like her mom just like doesn't understand who she is and like doesn't get her as a person. But then also Devi's like not seeing her mom for like a real person either, which I just feel like is such like a teenage girl thing.
Right.
I'm just like, you're not understanding.
You don't
like,
get me.
Yeah. You're not understanding your mom. Like, I mean,
my mom didn't get me either.
Yeah, same. Like, so I really just appreciated that like realistic portrayal of all this. And I just thought watching them like come full circle together and like really more understand each other by the end of the series and like get to that place together.
Yeah, and by the end they don't want to leave each other.
I know, it's so cute.
Like Devi is like so scared to go off to Princeton, and like the mom is so sad to lose her. And it's like you would have never guessed that going from season 1, like where they kind of hated each other.
Yeah, it's definitely like a main part, I feel like, of this entire series. Yeah. Another main part of the series.
Is it time?
I think it's time. Let's get into it. Paxton versus Ben. What are your thoughts?
So, to me, this is a no contest.
Whoa, okay.
I can't stand Ben. I think he's a cocky piece of shit.
Oh my God. Tell us how you really feel.
Sorry.
She is out behind the desk, people.
Like, I'm sorry, but Paxton's character is just so much more complex. There's so much more growth in his character between season 1 and season 4. And like him and Devi just have so much more chemistry. Whereas like when I watch scenes with Ben and Devi, they seem like friends. Like it just doesn't, you don't get the tingles, in my opinion. Like the scene where Paxton climbs in through the window.
Oh my God.
And he's like wet from the rain.
Okay,
and then
this is like the best scene of the entire series.
by Glass Animal starts playing and they kiss. I was like, whoa.
And it's like that slow-mo, like he's like leaning
so
towards her and
good.
she's like shocked. Like,
I mean, I was like, this is all my high school dreams like coming true.
oh my God, him climbing in through the window
That was
so
always
hot.
my dream. No boy ever came to my window, but you know.
They're not, rarely are they? Yeah.
It's like, was that a rock? No, it was a bird.
I know. I mean, that scene was
So hot.
so hot.
Yeah.
It's
But we
so
don't
good.
get anything like that with Ben.
I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Like, I will say they save those kind of like steamy moments for Paxton.
But I don't think that it's just purely like physical with them. They really like push each other to grow. Like she causes so much growth in him and like pushes him to like actually try at school and look for something more in his life than just being a popular athlete. Like, and in the same way he pushes her to like love herself, which is just so important and interesting. Whereas I think with Ben and Devi, in my opinion, they're just mean to each other. And it's funny that it's like frenemies to lovers situation. And like their flirty banter is just like literally being mean to each other and making fun of each other. But to me, that's not healthy, I don't think. I didn't buy it. And so yeah, I'm a Paxton fan, and not just because he's the hot one.
I mean,
that's on the record.
That's reason enough for me, to be honest,
like,
to be a
want the hot
Paxton
one.
fan. But I gotta say, I was really torn on the love triangle in this show. I was flipping back
I'm
and
shocked
forth.
to hear this.
I know. Okay, here's why.
Tell me.
Obviously, in the beginning of the series, I am rooting for Paxton.
Yeah.
I am like Devi and Paxton all the way.
Meant to be.
Like, love it. They had so many cute moments in season 1 where he kind of just like compliments her or like touches her shoulder and she's like shocked, and it's like you get the butterflies yourself. You're like, oh my god, the most popular guy in school is talking to her. Like, and they have such a cute dynamic. Like, they really seem to like help each other out throughout season 1, and you see that Paxton is like a sweet guy too, not just hot. Like, he cares about other people. So I was like all about Paxton and Devi. Love, love, love. I was like, why are you even making out with Ben? Like,
Exactly.
why? What's happening?
Ben Gross, really? The short one?
But I think, though, that it's like, okay, it does not help how short he is. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, have a viable option. Like, have him be a little hotter.
He's a normal looking guy.
Yeah,
I think they were trying to be like, oh, he's like the more achievable person for her. But like, I just don't think he has any like sex appeal at all.
But I will say, like, I feel like Paxton and Devi did date and it didn't work.
But it
like, I just feel like it didn't work. Like, it was like a colossal like kind of nightmare. And I feel like Paxton, like, I wanted more from him. Like, maybe understand her a little bit more. Like, I just don't think that they were like at the same level at all. And like, I'm sorry, like, she's going to Princeton, he's going to Arizona. Like, it just like, I don't think Paxton had like that much growth to where they would really be like, you know, a solid, like, great couple together. I just think that like Ben did get her a little bit more. They had a little bit more in common, like, and I think there was a little bit of like a competitive fire in them, which I did like. I mean, so I think that like Ben is the better option for her.
I think, like, I understand what you're saying where their actual relationship when they did date didn't work, but the reason it didn't work was because of Devi not being confident enough in it. Like, he was doing fine and he like liked her. He didn't actually like really do anything wrong. I know. And she like self-sabotaged.
She did.
The way that they end, I mean, do we want to wait to talk about the ending?
Yeah, let's get into it now.
So the way that the relationship ends with Paxton and Devi, well, she ends up with Ben in the end of season 4. Yeah. The way they wrap up her and Paxton's relationship to like free her up to end up with Ben is that they end up kissing in season 4 when he's a coach,
when he is working at the school.
Hot. So they meet, they like have this heart to heart in the locker room where he says to her, like, they're basically just chatting. She reveals to him that she's now had sex. Yeah. Because they never had sex.
Which, what a shame.
And he's just
what a shame.
I can't believe that we ended the series without them having sex.
I agree with that.
So they have a heart to heart and they like are talking about just catching up, basically like being friendly. And she says something about why this is like the first time that I've seen us as equals. And that shows like she actually is confident in herself now. And he says to her, no, Devi, you're too good for me. And then they kiss. And then it really jumps to like this other conversation they have afterwards where she's kind of like, I guess we shouldn't do that again. And he's like, yeah, probably not. We should just be friends. Like, I felt like that was a cop-out. Like, I think the arc could have made perfect sense for them to have this conversation. She shows growth. he acknowledges like, and they're in the same place finally, and now they're ready to have a real relationship. Whereas at the time when they originally dated, I don't think she was ready.
No, not at all.
I get like the logistics of the location, but when has that ever been a problem in a teen show before?
Right. No, I agree. It was like such a cop out. I wish we would have seen them actually date more, because I do feel like it was like, I would have loved to see them date when she is more ready.
Right.
And then maybe it's just like, oh yeah, we don't have enough in common. Like, we're not a fit together. Instead of doing this, like, she was self-sabotaging when they were actually dating.
I mean, they make it seem like they're going to be good friends going forward, which to me is like, well, they have a lot in common and they have chemistry, and
I just don't think they have that much in common.
Just
like,
have sex.
They do not have much in common. Like,
what do you mean? Just because he's not smart?
No, it's like not even that. I just think that like they just like want like different things out of life. Like, not like they have nothing in common. I just don't think it's like enough of what they have is not enough. Maybe it's like an age thing where I'm just like, Paxton is like older than her. They're at different stages in their life.
Sure.
Like, he couldn't make it in college, and I view Devi as like really thriving in college. Like,
that's fine.
I think that it's just like, I just think Ben makes more sense. Am I sad about it? Yes.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I wanted more Paxton in the last season. I wanted another makeout. Like, they definitely had more chemistry together.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But I got to ride for my girl Devi and say that I just think Ben made more sense.
He's the more attainable one, the uglier one.
Oh, my God. I don't think it was that bad. I got some tingles when they would kiss.
When?
I think actually
the makeout in Malibu in the car.
Yes, that was hot. Well, I think I was like, oh,
yeah,
that was hotter
shocked.
than I thought it was gonna be. Like,
Yeah.
I was surprised, and then I was like, oh, but of course, then I was still like, well, we got to see this thing with Paxton.
Yeah,
like,
we gotta
see what happens with that. Put that man on the side for now. Like,
I mean, agree to disagree, but like, I get the argument for Ben. I just think it's very. I actually kind of think the writers did him a little bit dirty in that I don't think he gets to have that much growth.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of still seems like the same person, and they're trying to just justify like, oh, he was so mean to her all these years because he liked her. Yeah. Which is a little bit of a weird trope of like, oh, the boy that pulls your pigtails is like the one that likes you.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was like slightly disappointing. They could have done more for his character. But to me, he's like, whereas Paxton is a completely different person from season 4 to season 1. I just feel like Ben is kind of the same. Like, and he's just much more of a dick to her over all seasons than Paxton is.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Like, I just think that like in season 1, like we really saw him like be a friend to her, help her like through this thing with her dad. Like, I just don't think Paxton would have done that for her. I just don't think he has the emotional intelligence to like handle her. That's all that I'm gonna say.
They did try to give Ben, or like we find out a little bit more about Ben's like family life, and like I guess it's a little bit sad how his parents are not there. So
sad little rich boy.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't really feel sad for you in this big ass house. Like, but okay.
Oh my God, I love it.
I do think that like, as much as the way they end it with her getting with Ben, and they're supposedly going to be together because their colleges are close to each other.
Which to me, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, logistics. Okay, boring. Yeah. But I didn't love like the way that everything was very tied up with a bow at the end of season 4. Like everyone ends up in a couple. She does end up getting into Princeton. Like, I thought it would have been more interesting for her to like not go to Princeton. Yeah. The place that she's been saying she was going to go her whole high school career. Like, I was like, why can't she just go somewhere else? Like,
100%. No, I thought the same thing. Yeah, like, I wanted her to go somewhere else because I feel like the Princeton thing too was like so tied to her dad that I wanted them to like fully not have her get in, or discover a new school was like better for her to kind of like leave that like part of her life like behind a little bit.
Well, right. And we've talked about how she kind of has had growth of like realizing that the stuff that she thought was like really the most important things in her life, which is having a boyfriend and going to Princeton
and having sex
and having sex shouldn't be her priorities. But then they end the show kind of going backwards of like, she gets a boyfriend, she goes to Princeton, she's not a virgin. Like, so I don't know. I feel like they backtracked a little bit in season 4. It was my least favorite of the 4 seasons.
It was my least favorite too.
Yeah, it was just, I do think they were trying to wrap it up, of course, but like.
Well, and then it was like such a big thing too, was at first her like not getting into Princeton.
Right.
And like, I just felt like it was like, let's have her grow from that, of having something like not work out for her.
Right.
And how does she handle that? How does she deal with that? I definitely wanted a little bit of that. They kind of took the easy way out, I thought, a little bit.
I thought so. And like everybody kind of, their stories all were very like Trent and Eleanor end up together. Paxton ends up going back to
crazy.
I mean, I love them. I love.
They were so funny.
Yeah, they were my favorite, probably side characters. Trent in particular, I think, was my favorite.
Yeah,
just because he was just so goofy, but like also genuine. Like the whole thing of him being so sad that Paxton's gonna leave and go to ASU, like. That was the cutest thing ever.
I mean,
like,
Trent and Paxton, like for life. I did love them as friends together. Yeah,
it was very cute. But like an Eleanor and Trent together, I think are just such a fun, interesting like couple. And
like from where the series starts, you would never guess that those two people would date. So it was fun.
It was fun for them to end up together.
Yeah,
but yeah, so they end up together. Paxton ends up going back to ASU, but he also has a girlfriend. And Kamala and Manish like end up together. The mom is dating Margot's dad, and they end up together. Like everyone finds a lover up in a relationship, and I'm like, oh, I thought the lesson here was that we don't need a man.
You are so right.
I'm going through something.
Yeah. Are you okay? Do you need to talk?
I'm good.
Have a sip of your champagne.
Mindy, we need to talk.
I would have kind of liked to see Devi end up with no one. I mean, I get it. We wanted to wrap her story up with a bow because, you know, we wanted all these years to like pay off of watching and to find out, like, is it Paxton or is it Ben?
Right.
But I would have loved to see her, like just be okay without a guy. I would have loved to have seen her and Ben actually date senior year of high school because we don't get them together till the very end.
Not at all.
And I would have actually loved to see them date, loved to see them like be romantic with each other, like have, you know, more scenes like that together. And then maybe like break up right before college because they're both going to different places.
I mean, maybe that's why I don't buy Devi and Ben is we don't see them together for very long in the show. The only time they actually date is when she's dating both of them at the same time.
Right.
And that's
you're
not
like,
very long.
I'm loving the Paxton part.
Yeah, obviously we're all rooting for Paxton in that scenario.
Yeah.
So whereas Paxton and Devi do end up dating after that.
Yeah.
But Ben very clearly is like, no, fuck you, basically, to her. And is like, you broke my heart. Like, I'm never giving you another chance. Like, so we don't ever see. I mean,
she was messy in that situation.
I loved it.
I did love when she was dating both of them.
I mean, that was psychotic of her to think that that would work. But
to be fair, was she exclusive with any of them? I was like on her side. I'm like, did you label any of this
Ben
yet?
did ask her to be his girlfriend. Paxton did not.
Well, I think though, like Paxton was acting like more hurt by it, and I was like, Pax, baby, come on.
I mean, like, clearly Ben was more hurt in the fact that he like would not even give her another chance after because of what she did.
Fair again.
I mean, don't blame him, but it was fun.
I think that too, like with Paxton, like, I mean, love him, but like he was kind of embarrassed to be dating her at one point. Like that was not great.
But he did like once she said,
"Yeah,
I'm not going to do this in private."
Yeah,
he was like. At first, he was kind of like, what? And then he ended up being like, yeah, okay.
He shows up to that dance.
Yeah, he shows up.
I love that scene.
I love that she stood up for herself.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, cool, we'll do it. Like, this is what I mean in that he never, I don't think, hurt her as bad as Ben ever did. Like, because he did listen to her request and was like, okay, like, we'll do it.
Maybe I wanted him to speak a little more.
Maybe. You know, men can keep their mouth shut.
I just think I needed my like romantic lead, like a speech. Like I was Team Paxton, like up until the end, up until I was like, he's in college. Like, how can this actually work?
I get the logistics of it don't make sense.
I think like a lot of times too, I'm just like, Well, he is living a separate life right now. Like when two characters start leading separate lives.
Well, this is why season 4 I didn't love.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hard. I feel like they were like, shit, we had Paxton be a year older. We got to stick with it. What are we going to do? And we got to make everyone Team Ben real quick.
Right.
But yeah, going back, I do think that I did want to see like Ben and Devi actually date. Like we needed to see that. Yeah. So then I could fully decide.
Okay.
Well, so speaking of side characters, we got into that a little bit.
Yeah.
My favorite side character was Fabiola.
Really?
Yeah, I know. You know why, partly?
That surprises me.
I know. I never was like...
You're such a nerd.
...into a robotics nerd before. But I think I just thought that she was like an interesting character.
I did like seeing her story.
Yeah.
And her like coming out story, her dating and like getting a feel for dating women.
Yeah.
What did you think about the Anissa Fabiola storyline?
Well, I hated Anissa the entire time.
Same.
Like, I was like, just get Anissa out of here. Like, I was just never a fan of that character.
She was too, like, wholesome.
It was just bizarre.
She can't do anything wrong.
It wasn't working for me, her character. And clearly it wasn't working in the show either. They, like, slowly were, like, writing her out
She
of
had,
it.
like, one line in season 4.
I know. And I was like, oh my God, she's still here? Like, jump scare.
She was like at the wedding. I'm like, what? You're still in the friend group. Okay.
No, like I thought we kicked you out, girly. But I liked Fabiola and Eve together. I thought that was very cute to see. I think also why I'm a fan of Fabiola is like I've watched some interviews with the cast and the actress who plays Fabiola is nothing like her.
Really?
And I am just like, this girl is an amazing
Must be a good actress.
Yeah, I was like the way she speaks is like totally different. Like you would not even recognize her. So I'm just like, wow, good for this girl.
That's
like
cool.
what an actress. Like bring some gravitas to this.
She really went for it.
Yeah. So yeah, never thought I'd be, into the robotics thing, but we STEM. Let's represent a little.
We stand STEM.
And also like Fabiola, I feel like became cool at the end. Like,
yeah, they all did. I mean, everyone was cool by the end. Yeah.
That's what always happens.
Yes, we all were by the end of high school.
Although I was like, Fabiola, how dare you apply to Princeton?
I mean, that
was
was a little
great.
weird. And
it's
she
like
didn't end up going.
I know, it was so dumb.
Like she might have been the reason that Devi was even on the wait list.
I know. Like, I know that anyone can apply to whatever college they want to, but like she never wanted to go there. Like that was not her thing. She just did not really seem interested and just wanted to apply for the hell of it. And I was kind of like, at least tell her that you're applying.
Well, I was going to say, like, I do think it's pretty messed up of Devi to be like, I own Princeton. Like, 100%, that's not, like, you can't just be like, I've wanted to go here forever. Like,
I feel like I would do
and now you, like,
though.
own it. Like, I mean, there was a few themes of that, though. Like, when, like, Eleanor liked Ethan and then Devi ended up kissing him. Like, it's like you don't own something just because you decided like that's what you want. Like it doesn't become yours automatically. So with Princeton in the same way, I do think like it was a little, but I agree that Fab should have told Devi that she had applied, like because she knew it was a realistic chance of her actually getting in.
Yeah, like I was on Team Devi with that one.
Yeah, fair.
Like, I know Devi's not always right, but I am always like, I totally get how she feels. And I feel like I would feel that way sometimes. And I know it's not right necessarily. Right,
exactly. But it's real.
I'm like, it just feels so real. I also feel like I like watching characters like that because I'm like, it just kind of like makes you feel a little bit better about yourself. Well, right.
I mean, you're like, if I'm the girl that's talking about Princeton all the time for 4 years, then everybody knows I own Princeton.
The Princeton girl.
Like this is part of my identity. So it is realistic in that way that like that's kind of how it was in high school too. But I kind of wish that Devi and Fab had gone together though.
I know.
Because like Fab decided to go to Howard, I think, right?
Yeah.
And like, but they were going to be roomies at Princeton. But like, I just don't understand why they made everyone split up. I guess they Just wanted to do it for the plot.
I feel like teen shows do this a lot, where it's like they view it as like, we need to put everyone separate because that's so realistic.
Right.
And I am not a fan of that.
No, it's
I don't
not.
care if everyone goes to California University.
I literally like made sure that I had friends coming to the same school I was going to.
Like, I just don't
I was
think
like,
it's as
I need to
uncommon.
know somebody else.
Yeah, I don't think it's as like uncommon as like what people think. Like half my high school went to IU or Purdue. Right. Like it's not that weird.
But they were
I
like,
didn't know
we're
a single
all
soul. I was
splitting
like,
up.
I cannot see any of you when I go off to college. I'm going to be a completely
You needed
different
to move
person.
on. Reinvent.
I am Jill now. Like, I am done.
You reinvented yourself. Did you
Yeah,
have a different name in high school? What do you mean? I am Jill now.
Well, I like fully just started going by Jill for a period
Instead of
in college
Jillian?
because people just started calling me Jill, and I was like, I'm Jill now. Like, let's try it out. Whereas before, I never like. I was always like, I'm Jillian.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about you.
Well, I just kind of went with what the kids were calling me, you know? You just got to go with the flow.
I was always Jessie. Yeah, I could not. Jessica was my name if I was in trouble with my parents.
I can't wait to start calling you Jessica.
But Jessica is just too formal, I feel like.
Jessica?
It comes off formal. So, yeah,
what
no,
you
I was
mean.
always Jessie. Some people would call me Jess.
Oh, did you not like that?
No, I liked it. It was like,
Oh.
you know, if a boy liked me, like and they were calling me Jess.
We
I was like,
love a boy
he's
giving
got a
nickname
nickname for me.
It's the hottest thing.
Although I
love it.
don't like Ben's nickname for Davy, which is David.
I know.
I think
it's tragic.
kind of gross.
I think it was like hard for them to transition Ben from being the guy to like pick on her and make fun of her, and them to have this like
Be
competitive
romantic.
relationship to then turn it romantic.
Right.
Although again, that make out in Malibu, kind of hot.
If you say so.
Okay, you agreed it was hot.
It was the closest thing to hot that they had. More than even the sex scenes.
Well, oh yeah, I guess they did.
There were
have-
2 sex scenes.
I know. Again, they
Not
needed to
great.
write
You don't
more
even
romance.
remember because
I
they're
know.
not good.
But well,
we remember that makeout.
well, all we
with
remember is the
Paxton.
window makeout.
I mean, I
rain
watched it again
scene.
this morning.
It's so good.
It's just
I've
so
made
good.
many videos out of that scene.
You have some fan cams.
That is definitely a rewind scene.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, the dripping, like hair.
He looks so hot. He's so
hot.
Darren Barnett is also like 30 playing this role.
Perfect.
I know. I'm like,
Thank
I love
God.
it. Yeah.
Thank
She
God.
was like 18 and he was like 30. And I'm like,
That's-
it still worked.
Legal.
Yeah.
fine.
I was thinking that. Is that the reason, Jesse, that you like Paxton so much more?
Well, how
He's
old is-
9 years older than the other actor.
Oh, is
Yeah.
the
He's
actor that plays Ben that much younger?
He's
Yeah.
32. The other guy's 23.
Well, that's really good. That makes me feel better. That's a good reason.
And Google says there's only 3 inches difference in height.
I thought you were going to say something.
Hey.
Oh my God,
It's not that kind of podcast, Jesse. Jessica.
Just wait. You let me on more, it'll become that kind of podcast.
It says that Darren Barnett is 32 and 5'10",
Okay, over 5'9". That's my limit.
and Jaron
Shorter than I thought,
Lewison, who plays Ben, is 23 and 5'7".
5'7" is insane.
rough. Yeah, that's rough.
I'm sorry.
That's a big difference.
That's
those
huge.
3 inches.
There's a lot of women that are 5'7". There's not a lot of women who are 5'10".
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of actors are short. It's,
Yeah. Again, he was just younger too. But
I mean, that's good. That means that's why we can say that's why I'm more attracted to Paxton. Circling back to this, you normally an opposites girly with
I
your
am,
couples.
but again, it was like Paxton just like I needed, and honestly, it might just be because like in season 4 they really strayed away from
Yeah.
like him and Devi. But like he just wasn't giving me everything that I wanted. Like I needed these like romantic speeches. Like at the end of the day, he just like to me did not seem that into her.
They knew in season 4 where she was going to end up. So
Yeah.
I think they were trying to convince us that her and Paxton were just supposed to be friends.
And like
I just
when
didn't
he
believe
broke
it.
up with her, it's like I wanted him to like break through her walls, you know? Like that's what these opposites normally do. And he didn't do that. So, and I know it was her fault.
But this is about
But-
personal growth.
I know, but like I just wanted him to more like be there for her, I think, like
Fair.
in that moment, instead of just kind of like tossing her away and then dating a new girl like a month later. Like, come on, he was not that into her.
Okay.
I didn't mean to derail you guys again.
Yeah.
And we
Ben
had to
versus
circle back.
Paxton.
It's like that. This is
That
what
we
this
could
whole
do a whole
podcast was
episode about that.
Yeah.
I do. Before we move on, the other side character I wanted to mention that I loved is the mom.
Oh well, yeah.
Nalini.
Amazing. I mean, amazing portrayal of like a mom.
It's
of
just
a teen.
so interesting of a character.
Yeah.
Like we just get to see so much of her. She
wasn't
great
just a mom. Like
Yeah.
we really saw like her life,
her relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, she should have ended up with the doctor, obviously, the surgeon,
with
Dr. Jackson.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I mean, they were
They
hot.
threw her a love interest at the very end.
They really did.
Yeah.
They were like, she needs to end up with somebody. But
Yeah.
like, I really liked her with him. She also had great style. I
Oh,
loved
yeah.
her outfits, her little blazer suits.
She was a
like,
cool mom,
She was
like-
very cool.
Yeah.
And funny. Like, she had so many funny lines
Yeah.
that I just thought she brought like the comedic relief. I just really loved her character.
100%. They just like made the mom an actual character,
Right,
in
they
this
gave
show.
her,
Instead
like,
of just being
storylines.
Mom of a teen. It was
Right.
like she was an actual person, which a lot of times like we don't really see that in these shows. So
I mean, and you see her dealing with the grief
Yeah.
of losing her husband.
oh my god, I was like crying on the scenes where she is riding on the moped like by herself.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
like it is just like you see, you know, yeah, you actually do see her as an actual woman who's
Right.
like dealing with the loss of the love of her life, which is
mean,
just so sad.
They clearly
I mean,
like were just so in love, and
I
like the
know.
flashback scenes that they show are so cute. Like
I love that they included those flashbacks.
I did
like
too.
I think that was so smart that they did.
I mean, and we got
that.
more of hot Mohan. So.
We love Hot Mohan. I think I called him the hottest guy in the show.
Hot dead dad.
Oh my god!
That's
You
good.
know you're getting older when you're like, the hot
The
dead
dad's
dad
hot.
is the hottest guy in the show.
The order of hotness seems to be oldest to youngest.
I mean, that's appropriate.
Yeah,
We're adults here.
we are teens at heart, though.
Exactly.
Well, should we play a little game?
Let's
Did
play
we
the
talk
game.
about everything with the show? Is there anything else that we didn't?
I feel like we
that
did. The only
missed?
other thing I wanted to mention is that I loved like the John McEnroe narration.
Oh wait, we
I
have
thought
to
that
talk
was really
about that.
fun.
We have
Like,
to talk about
John
that.
McEnroe is the narrator of the
Yes,
show?
it's so good.
fun. He's also in it for a scene.
Yeah.
like he actually
As
appears.
himself?
Yeah. 'Cause-
He's the narrator throughout the entire series.
So the
Like,
way
he
they-
narrates this teenage girl's story, It's
which
so
is
good.
so good. It's because Devi has anger issues, number one, and also because he was Mohan's favorite like athlete.
tennis player. Yeah,
Mohan was really a big John McEnroe fan. So like the fact that John McEnroe's narrating Davy's life now after her dad died is like very perfect. But yeah, he appears in the scene where they're spreading Mohan's ashes because they're in Malibu, and he like shows up like with a surfboard.
yeah,
And
it's amazing.
yeah, it's great.
We get some other good narrations. We get Gigi Hadid narrates Paxton Halyashida,
Which is perfect.
Is amazing.
So
Like
perfect.
she kills it. She
She
does such
does.
a good job, and that was like such a surprise.
I was shocked. I was like, when
loved
that
it.
episode, when his first episode where it was from his perspective
Yeah.
started and she came on, I was
You're
like,
like,
wait,
what?
what?
I
But then
know.
it just like made so much sense. I loved it.
And then we get Andy Samberg is Ben's narrator,
Also makes sense.
which was great. I loved it. It kind of made me like Ben more, I think.
I loved the way they use narration. Like
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't overused, only done like in a fun way, and
Yeah.
like, but it wasn't like super in your face or anything like that. I really liked it.
I usually hate narration because I'm like,
Yeah.
I just feel like it's such kind of like used as a cheap device a lot.
Yeah.
Like just have the actor show me how they're feeling instead of
Right.
narrating it.
Telling me.
But this was totally different. Like
It
this was
wasn't,
used
yeah.
in great ways. It was funny. Like it added to the comedy of it. They got great people to do it, and it just really worked.
Usually it was like kind of making fun of itself like a little bit, or like it wasn't really like telling the story. I almost
Right.
wouldn't even call it narration. I don't know.
Like inner
it's just
thoughts,
commentary.
maybe.
Yeah.
It was more commentary because
Yeah.
it's not her doing the narrating.
It's not filling in any gaps or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's more like it draws your attention to something where like
Yeah.
it'll be like, Devi, you just did this, and then she'll be like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Like it's very just self-aware. I liked it a lot.
I loved it.
But yeah, there was, when I was doing my research for this episode, there was a thread on the Reddit forums, which
We love the Reddit forums.
I do read.
Yeah.
And it was what actor, actress, or celebrity do you think would narrate, like, if we did an episode from the other side character's point of view?
Oh, I love
So,
that.
like, for example, like Fabiola, your favorite,
Yeah.
who would you want to be her narrator? I can tell you what the Reddit thread said.
I would say like Jesse Eisenberg or like Michael Cera or
I
something.
like that.
Yeah.
So the Reddit thread suggested Bill Nye or Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay, well, very on the nose.
Little
A
on
little
the
too on the
nose, a
nose,
little
I would
on
say.
the
But
nose.
good options.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
options.
And then Trent, one of the suggestions I loved was Pete Davidson.
Oh, that's a good one. That's amazing.
That
That's
would be perfect,
I
right?
would love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Eleanor. What do you think for Eleanor?
For Eleanor, I mean, it would be like hilarious if just like Meryl Streep did Eleanor.
It's
like,
gotta
how
be like
good would
an
that
over the
be?
top. Yeah. One of the suggestions was like Kristen Chenoweth or
Oh, that's good.
Leah
yeah.
Michelle or
Oh, Leah Michelle would be
Leah
good
Michelle,
too.
I think
But
would
she
be
can't
really
read.
good.
Allegedly. I'm just kidding.
Allegedly. It's a legend. But
I
yeah.
would, or like I'd love like a Natalie Portman.
Oh,
like,
that would
just
be
like
fun.
a real like actress.
Like an actress. you
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
definitely.
I love it. Or so one of the suggestions was like Eleanor would narrate her own episode.
I mean, honestly, yeah,
Like,
that's
she's
true.
just so like
I loved
herself.
Eleanor.
I did too.
She
yeah,
was great.
But I thought that was
Everyone
really
so
funny.
great on the show. Like I really did love all the characters.
I think they did such a good job, like giving everyone except like Anissa, maybe.
Yeah,
Like
right.
there were side characters that we didn't get to know that well, but the main group, like we really did get to know them more than just a surface level, which I really liked.
Yeah,
so.
and I like that they like took the time for like those dynamics to grow.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, okay, everyone's friends right away, everyone's dating right away. Like
Right.
they kind of like kept people like separate a lot and had it actually make sense. Which I liked.
exactly.
Just such a good show.
So good.
I already missed this show. I wish I could have
know.
gone on for like 10 more seasons. But
I am sad. It's like officially done. They're
I
not going to do
know.
any more.
I need another show like this to come out.
I know.
Like, now
We need
is the
something
time.
comparable.
Mindy, work on another show for me. Or just anybody out there. Like, write another show like this. We need more teen shows like this.
I agree.
So get to work, people.
Chop chop.
All right. Well, are you ready for a little game?
Yeah, let's play a game.
So we're going to play Never Have I Ever High School Edition. So obviously Never Have I Ever is the game where you say something you've never done. If you have done it, you take a drink.
Okay.
Please consume alcohol responsibly.
It doesn't have to be alcohol.
You can drink
I'm
whatever you want.
winking.
Play at home. It could be kind of
Yeah.
fun.
I guess we'll have to say when we drink.
Yeah, we'll
if they're
say it.
listening and not watching our video.
Yeah, they'll hear me slurping the champagne.
We'll put the microphone right now.
Yeah. But we're playing like high school edition. So it's like Never Have I Ever in high school. Yeah.
Okay. I was way more boring in high school, so I feel like I won't have done most of these things.
I had
but
like one wild year.
whoa. Tell me more.
That's a story for another time.
You're pre-Jill live.
Yeah, pre-Jill. Jillian. The transition from Jillian to Jill was a little wild. Not going to lie.
Wow.
Yeah.
love
I feel
this.
like
We might play another Never Have I Ever after this.
Yeah, after the camera cuts.
I feel like though it was like where I more kind of like started to be a little bit like Davy, where I was like, I'm tired
Being
of like
chaotic?
sitting on the sidelines and just like letting things happen. I need to like kind of like go after things, like do more of what I want. Like these boys aren't just going to like walk up to you and like discover you out of
you
nowhere.
were asking people out?
No, definitely not. Okay, let
Should
me
that
be
have been
clear.
one
It
of the
was
Never
not
Have I
that
Ever?
wild. But like
You were not wild enough to ask
I
a
wasn't,
boy out.
no, I wasn't wild in that way.
Crazy.
I'm like, that's the craziest thing you can
You're
do
like, "Shut
is
up."
like ask a boy out. Like that's wild. But I feel like I got a little more flirty and like
Okay.
started talking to boys a little
More
bit more.
confident.
More confident.
Yeah, I always joke that I came into high school really confident because my parents, built me up too much when I was homeschooled. They told me how amazing I was. And then I came into high school and I was like, I'm amazing. And then I found out real quick.
Yeah, then you're like,
I was not. I was like, wow, I'm not as hot as I thought I was.
Oh my God, stop.
I thought the boys would be breaking down my door, by the
Well,
way. My parents told me how beautiful I was.
I mean, to be fair though, like if I was just like entering high school the way you did of like never being in public school, I would have like expectations and also like I'm the new girl. Like,
I also
come
thought it
talk
was
to
like
me.
the movies and the
Yeah.
shows where the girl takes her glasses off and,
Yeah,
she's hot as hell.
I thought the same about
Didn't
myself
happen.
too. Yeah.
But thanks, Mom and Dad, for building me up.
2 weeks in, you're fantasizing you have a broken arm.
Yeah.
I'm like,
please,
please someone sign my cast.
I just got to break an arm and then I'll be popular.
That's all that's missing in my life.
That's all it takes.
Oh my
so
God.
dumb.
Okay, we have to do Never Have I Ever now.
All right, so I can go first. Okay, never have I ever. Actually, wait, I did do that. Hold on.
yeah, you have to
okay,
pick one
wait.
you haven't
Never
done.
have I ever been to a party where the cops were called.
Oh, I definitely have. Yeah.
Oh my God, fun!
I actually had the cops had to call my parents many times.
In high school? Oh my God, that is so fun.
Story for another day. Well, because I just didn't run.
Oh yeah.
Like when the cops
You're
came,
like, you
I was
got me.
like, take me away.
Yeah. You're like, this will make me popular on Monday if the cops have to take me home.
Like, I'm not running through the woods. Like, I'm just.
Well, again, that confidence you had.
I mean, what's gonna happen? Like, I'm not old enough to go to jail, so I knew they would just call my parents,
This
and
is hilarious.
my parents would just
So
go.
people are making a break for it, and you're like, I haven't finished my drink.
Basically,
I'm picturing you just sitting on the couch, like,
I'm like, here.
still drinking your drink, like.
Take me.
take me, handcuff me.
Can y'all break an arm while you're at it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, please put the handcuffs on me and put me in the back of
They
the car.
never
This will
did.
make me cool.
I never got the handcuffs, unfortunately. They just would call my parents, and my parents would come pick me up.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, I drank.
I mean, I did to be. Oh, I thought you were saying I drank in high school. I'm like, I did too. I just didn't get the cops called on me ever.
Yeah.
I was smart.
Okay, my turn.
Okay.
Okay, never have I ever. Okay, yeah, never have I ever snuck out of a window to sneak out.
I have done that.
Ah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have not snuck out of a window. I did sneak out, but I didn't
Yeah.
go out the window.
I mean, it's hard to do if you, but like, I remember with my friend with this window, I was like, we are living the dream right now. Like, it's not
You're
even
like-
my window. And
you're
I'm
like,
like, we're together
Is
living
anyone
this
filming
dream.
this for a high school film?
I know.
Like,
I was like,
we're
this
living
is
it out.
Yeah, I know. All right, my turn. Never have I ever gone to senior prom.
Oh, I did go to senior prom.
Some of us didn't get asked.
Oh, I definitely went with a friend. I
See,
did not
no.
go.
I went to a high school from the 1950s. where
Like,
it
you
was,
couldn't go if you didn't have a date?
People just didn't go, and you had to buy tickets like together. You had to buy 2 tickets. You could not buy a single
That's actually
ticket.
messed up.
I know. So
Yeah.
something for the therapist, maybe.
Yeah,
Still.
maybe add
They
it to the
only
list.
sold prom tickets in pairs?
Yes,
actually
you had
super
to buy them in
messed
This
pairs.
is why
So,
they had
like,
to have that like it gets better campaign
I
and stuff
know.
like that.
Literally.
I'm just like, what? Are you trying to make kids feel depressed?
I
Of
know.
like, oh, you don't have anyone? Like,
I
You're
know.
alone.
So dumb. Like looking back, I'm like, that is ridiculous.
I mean,
Like,
this is why we
and
all thought that getting a boyfriend was the most important thing in,
I know.
in school.
Exactly. Like,
Because
it's
of
their
that.
fault. Yeah.
Okay, let me think. I never have I ever skipped class to make out.
I have not done that either.
Damn it. I thought I was going to get you on that one.
No. I feel like that would be like hard
That's
to
crazy.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also talked about, well, I will ask you, never have I ever had sex at school.
Oh my God, definitely no. What? If I'm not sneaking out to make out. I'm not having
this
sex.
was one of the never have I evers they did at the table at the wedding in the last episode.
Oh, yeah.
They said never have I ever had sex at school. And Eleanor and Trent obviously did. So
Oh, my God.
sorry. So that's why I had to do that one.
I know. They show that a lot in TV shows, and I do think that's the most, like, unrealistic thing, I would think. I mean, I wasn't doing that. But I don't know anyone else, like, who was.
No, not at school.
No. Who has time for that? We only have, like, 10 minutes in between class.
It doesn't take that long.
Previously on After Dark.
Yeah.
This is for the Patreon.
Well, that was fun. I feel like our listeners learned a little bit about us.
I mean,
today.
I learned a little bit about you.
Same.
Can I
play the
ask a couple
offline.
questions about this show? So,
Yes.
so Paxton has graduated,
In
In
the last
season 4.
season, Paxton
and she's a senior. So
Yes.
it's like basically he's 19, she's 8, or
Yes.
18, 17.
Yeah, they're only a year
19,
apart.
19 and 18, yeah.
Okay. And he doesn't go to college.
No, he goes to ASU, Arizona State University, the party school, and he doesn't do well. He's
not
doesn't
popular.
have any friends, and he's not popular for the first time in his life. So he leaves school, comes back home, and gets a job as an assistant swimming coach.
Because he wasn't popular?
Yes.
See, and this is the guy that Jesse's like, he's a great option.
Wow.
Maybe I mean, we were
See.
just talking about how I need to date somebody with a job. So
This guy might need to aim higher than...
I'm like, Davey is better than this guy. But then he ends up figuring it out, and he goes back to school at the end of the series. Yeah.
And he's 5'10".
So he's working at the school and they have sex?
No,
Like
no.
he's an
No,
employee?
No, they just kiss.
Okay.
In the locker room.
Yeah.
He kissed
Because
the
she's
student.
Yes.
the equipment
Yes.
manager for the swim team.
But they used to date. Like, so then the swimming
only a
coach
year
walks
apart.
in and is like, oh, it looks like something was happening. Make sure that never happens again. I know you guys used to date, but like, you can't do that now that you're, working at the school.
I appreciate the clarity. I think when you passed by it, we're like, oh, he worked at the school and they kissed. I was like, again, what is this show?
Yada, yada, yada.
I'm like, is he like a 30-year-old teacher?
No, we didn't care about that.
That
We
makes
didn't
so much more sense.
The makeout was hot, so we didn't care.
It's semantics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do fully explain it, and like, I think they do a
And
good
then
job with that.
They immediately have a conversation that's like, I guess we can't do that again. And he's like, yeah, not as long as I want to keep my job.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so we're going to do quick as if.
Quick.
This is the part of the show where we rant for 15 seconds about anything in the show, and we have to say as if at least once.
Okay.
Jesse, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You have 15 seconds and go.
Devi and Paxton never have sex? As if. I mean, he's the one that she offers up her virginity to in season 1. She's been in love with him for years. He's the reason she got out of a wheelchair, and they never end up having sex. As if.
I agree with that. Like,
I mean,
that was insane. They
weird.
needed to have sex. That was ridiculous.
But she has sex with Ethan.
I know.
And she doesn't have
She
sex
does
with
it a lot with Ethan.
Yeah,
I like that part. That was
that was fun.
Jillian, are you ready for your as if rant?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
15 seconds on the clock and go.
Paxton Holyoshida's swimming career coming to an end by getting hit by that car as if Darren Barnett cannot swim. Like, that is why they took out that storyline. It's the only explanation. He can't swim. We never saw him do a stroke.
I'd love to see him do a stroke.
As someone who swam for 4 years, like, I'm telling you, I think that actor just can't swim, and that's why they didn't do it.
Darren, respond.
Yeah, Darren, feel free to respond. Can you swim?
Please don't be wearing a shirt in your response.
I feel like they made him a swimmer just so they could have him shirtless more.
I support it.
I also love, like, that they showed, like, this
Do you think
swimmer
he-
being the most popular guy in school. Like, the swimmers are never the most popular person in school.
Well, at that other school, Des was in the debate team, and he was the most popular guy in
Like,
school.
I'm sorry. Like, maybe high schools
We're
are
making this
different,
up.
but, like, I was a swimmer. None of us were popular. Well, we were lowest of the low. All right. Well,
That was
this
fun.
was so fun. Jessie, thank you for getting out from behind the desk
Thank
and joining
you.
us today.
Thanks for letting me out of my cage.
You were such a treat. This was a lot of fun.
I'm always down. I hope I filled the shoes of the great Claire well.
You did. You did a great job. You came in with lots of opinions.
Hot takes.
Yeah, I liked your hot takes. It was fun.
That's what I'm here for.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at previously_teen TV.
Thanks for listening.